Drobo could go away. And if Drobo goes away, that means the software goes away, software support goes away, the hardware support goes away. And so if you own a Drobo, and I'm in this camp, as I've just said, I think it may be time to consider moving to some other storage option, maybe from a company. And I hate to say this because I love Drobo, but they got bought recently by a company called Nexan. There's just been a lot of turmoil at the company, so I think time may be running out or getting short, or at least you should have an alternate or a plan B, something that you can move to. And so I've been kind of looking at what are my options out there. And, I'm not big on this stuff, so I turned to my own tech guru, at least when it comes to storage and network attached storage. And that's Dave Hamilton over at Mac Geek Gab. If you haven't checked out their podcast, you definitely should. I'm sure many of you who listen to this show are also listeners to Dave and John, but go check out that podcast, and they talk about this stuff a lot. And he really had two suggestions for me, and it really came down to, do you need direct attached storage? So that's, a storage device that you're going to hook up directly to your Mac, and that's exactly what I do with my Drobos, although I have a direct attached Drobo connected to a Mac Mini that I kind of use as a NAS, so I may replace that one with a more formal network attached storage. And he said, so if you're going with direct attached storage, I'd really take a look at the OWC Thunder Bay line of products. And as you know, we are big fans of OWC here at MacCast, so I will have links to their products in the show notes at maccast.com, but macsales.com. And then he said, if you're going with network attached storage, I would look at Synology. And Synology is great. It's been around for years. I actually own a Synology device. But my main need is for direct attached storage. And so, my biggest issue with losing the Drobo, I think, is the ease of use. I still think they have the nicest solution for non-techie folks. A lot of these other solutions, are more technical. The Beyond RAID technology just made it so easy to get everything set up. Now, Synology offers a similar technology with their hybrid RAID, but that's in a NAS product. I really can't find anything in a direct attached storage product that kind of matches what the Drobo was doing. And so the Thunder Bay products from OWC are great, but you really need to set them more up as a traditional RAID. And they give you the software to do that. They have the soft RAID software that you have to pay for, but it is an option on the products, and you need to set up a traditional RAID. And most likely the RAID version you're going to want to set up to kind of mimic a Drobo or Drobo functionality in terms of the best balance between performance and redundancy is going to be either a RAID 5 or a RAID 6. And the difference between RAID 5 and RAID 6 is really single redundancy or dual redundancy. And what that comes down to is, if a drive fails, can you have two hard drives fail and still retain your data parity, or can you only have one drive fail? So with RAID 5, if you have one drive fail, your storage is just fine. You will have to power down your RAID, replace the one bad drive with a new drive, and then it will rebuild. The concern there is the rebuild times can take pretty long depending on how much storage you have and how much you have stored. And so if you have a second failure at that time, then you're in trouble. You need to have the full RAID up and running, and you can only have one drive failure at once. And that's where RAID 6 comes into play. In that scenario, it's similar, but you can have two drive failures and still maintain your data. The only other problem with traditional RAID, and it's not really a problem, it's just how it works, is that you really need to fill all your drive bays. So if you get a 4-bay storage device or a 6 or an 8, you really need to fill all of those, or you want to fill all of those with exactly the same sized drives. And, that's where Drobo had this real advantage is, I could, this year buy 4 terabyte drives for my device and fill up all 4 bays. And then if I have a 4 terabyte failure and now suddenly, 6 terabyte or 8 terabyte drives are more affordable, I could replace with a larger drive and get the extra storage, and it would just kind of rebuild itself, and it really didn't care. The Thunder Bays will support different size drives, but in that scenario, the size of the smallest size drive in the RAID is what's used to create the RAID. So if you have one 4 terabyte drive, for example, and 3 8 terabyte drives, the total storage on that RAID is only going to still be 16 terabytes, not the full 28. Now, you can partition the other 8 terabyte drives and get the additional storage back and use it in some other way, but you're not going to be able to use it as part of the RAID. All of the RAID drives need to be the same size is what it comes down to. And so the software can manage that. OWC software does a great job of doing that. And, it is just one of those limitations to be aware of. So if you're moving to that kind of product, something you need to think about. Synology, on the other hand, again, it's network attached storage, similar kind of thing, and they do have their own version of that technology, the hybrid RAID technology, and I actually use that in my Synology, and it works great. But the Synology management software, it's like going in to configure a Windows system or a Linux system or something like that. They have, a lot of features, and it's not overly complex, but it's definitely more technical than it was with the Drobo. And one of the really cool things about Synology and their NASs, though, is that they have all kinds of apps and features and things that you can add to it. So you can set up file sharing. If you're a developer, you can set up Docker on that and run Docker instances off of it. You can run VPN on it. You can set up personal cloud storage, and they have software for that. So a lot of people ask me, hey, I don't want my stuff on iCloud. I don't want it in any, third-party cloud thing. I want my own cloud. And with a Synology, you can actually set that up and build it, but you have to know how to configure it. You have to know how to, get through your firewalls and do it securely and set up, all that sort of stuff. So it gives you all the tools and features to do that, but, it's a little more technically fiddly and, not just plunk out of the box appliance, which really was what Drobo was. But again, Drobo, could be going away. So just something to think about. And I also wanted to throw this out to the community because, I'm not an expert on this. I had to turn to my expert, Dave, and I think he gave me some great advice. But I'm curious, what direct attached storage solutions are you using? What network attached storage solutions are you using? And what are some of the things that you like about them or maybe don't like about them? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the great things? So give us some feedback. Shoot me an email. Send me an audio comment, maccast@gmail.com.